Keanu Reeves, a Hollywood icon revered for his humility, stepped into Ralph's Market in Beverly Hills on a muggy Saturday afternoon. His mission was simple yet deeply personal. To gather ingredients for a comforting dinner he planned to prepare for his sister, Kim, who was in Los Angeles undergoing treatment for leukemia. Dressed in a faded t-shirt, worn jeans, and scuffed sneakers, Keanu moved through the bustling aisles unnoticed, his unassuming presence allowing him to blend seamlessly with the crowd. For Keanu, anonymity during such mundane tasks was a cherished escape from the spotlight, a chance to be just another person navigating the chaos of a busy supermarket. The store hummed with Saturday energy. Families filled carts with weekly essentials, children weaved through aisles with boundless enthusiasm, and employees diligently restocked shelves. To the shoppers around him, Keanu was merely a middle-aged man, meticulously checking prices before placing items in his cart, his focus on ensuring the meal would bring comfort to his sister. In the organic produce section, Keanu paused, his handwritten list in hand, carefully selecting vegetables for a soup Kim had expressed a desire to try. The list was specific, reflecting her preference for organic ingredients, a detail Keanu honored without hesitation despite the higher costs. His sister's health was paramount, and he spared no expense to ensure her well-being. Nearby, a mother struggled to manage two young children while sorting through a display of fruit. Her 4-year-old son, full of youthful exuberance, tripped and collided with a tray of apples, sending them tumbling across the floor in a cascade of red and green. The mother's face flushed with embarrassment as she tried to calm her son and gather the scattered fruit. Keanu, without a second thought, knelt beside the boy, his movements gentle and reassuring. "It's okay, buddy," he said softly, his voice warm with empathy. "It happens to everyone." He collected the apples with care, stacking them neatly back on the display, and offered a kind smile to the boy, who looked up with wide, relieved eyes. The mother, unaware of Keanu's fame, thanked him profusely. "Kids, you know," she said, her tone a mix of gratitude and exasperation. "They're just being kids," Keanu replied, handing her the last apple with a nod. The small act of kindness went unnoticed by most shoppers, but it was a quiet reflection of Keanu's character. Helping others without expectation of recognition or reward, a trait that defined him both on and off the screen. Keanu continued through the store, his focus unwavering as he checked items off Kim's list. The organic ingredients she requested were pricier, but Keanu selected them with care, driven by his deep concern for her recovery. His thoughts drifted to her condition, the experimental treatment she was undergoing, and the hope he held for her future. At the deli counter, he joined a line behind an elderly man who deliberated over various types of cheese, his indecision drawing impatient sighs and phone-checking from other customers. Keanu, however, stood patiently, his expression calm and introspective. The elderly man's slow choices didn't bother him. Instead, Keanu's mind wandered to memories of simpler times with Kim, their shared laughter over home-cooked meals, and the quiet strength she showed in her battle with illness. When the deli worker finally called for the next customer, Keanu stepped forward with a gentle smile. "Half a pound of the low-sodium turkey breast, please," he requested, his voice polite and unhurried. The worker, oblivious to the fact that he was serving one of Hollywood's biggest stars, prepared the order efficiently. As Keanu waited, he noticed a commotion near the store's entrance, raised voices, a hurried phone conversation, but dismissed it as just another urban moment, insignificant in the grand scheme of his day. His phone buzzed, and he glanced at a text from Kim. "Don't forget the ginger for the soup. Love you, brother." A soft smile crossed his face as he typed back. "Already got it. See you soon." The deli worker handed him the wrapped turkey. "Anything else, sir?" "That's perfect, thank you," Keanu replied, placing the package in his cart and moving toward the checkout. At the checkout area, Keanu chose the line with the shortest wait, behind a woman with a cart overflowing with groceries and a handful of crumpled coupons. The cashier, a young man named Marcus, worked with professional efficiency, scanning items with practiced ease. Keanu noticed the woman's growing distress as she counted and recounted the cash in her wallet, her fingers trembling slightly as she realized she might not have enough. When Marcus informed her that her card had been declined, her face flushed with embarrassment. "I thought I had enough," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "Can you remove some items?" Before Marcus could respond, Keanu stepped forward, his tone quiet but firm. "I'll cover the difference," he said to Marcus, pulling out his wallet. The woman turned, startled. "Sir, you don't have to," she began, her voice wavering. It's no problem at all, Keanu replied, his warm smile putting her at ease. We've all been there. Marcus processed the transaction, and the woman, overcome with gratitude, thanked Keanu repeatedly as she gathered her bags and left. Marcus, clearly moved by the gesture, commented, "That was really kind of you." Keanu shrugged modestly. "Just paying it forward," he said, as Marcus began scanning his items. In that moment, neither could have anticipated that this peaceful Saturday afternoon was about to erupt into chaos, that Keanu's simple act of generosity would be twisted into something sinister, and that his anonymity was on the verge of being shattered in the most brutal way imaginable. The calm was broken when Officer Bradley Matthews, a stocky man in his 40s with close-cropped hair and an aggressive demeanor, approached the checkout with purposeful strides. His hand rested on his utility belt, exuding the confidence of someone expecting to make a significant arrest. "Excuse me, sir," he said loudly, his voice cutting through the hum of the store. "Step away from the register." Keanu looked up, his brow furrowing in confusion. "I'm sorry, is there a problem?" he asked, his tone calm but curious. Matthews, his voice carrying to draw attention, announced, "We received a report of suspicious activity. I need to see some identification." The request seemed routine, but the edge in Matthews' tone suggested otherwise. Keanu, careful to keep his movements slow and non-threatening, reached for his wallet and handed over his driver's license. "Here's my ID," he said, his voice steady. Matthews examined it with exaggerated thoroughness, as if searching for signs of forgery, then read aloud, "Keanu Reeves." The actor, his tone laced with mockery. Shoppers nearby paused, their curiosity piqued, and phones emerged to record the unfolding scene, sensing something unusual was afoot. Matthews' partner, Officer Jennifer Cole, younger and brimming with eagerness to prove herself, joined him at the checkout. "Sir," she said, consulting a small notebook with theatrical precision, "we received a report that you were harassing customers and acting erratically." Keanu blinked, caught off guard by the absurdity of the accusation. "I'm sorry, what?" he said, his voice tinged with disbelief. "I haven't harassed anyone." Cole, undeterred, pressed on. "Multiple witnesses reported seeing you following female customers, making unwanted contact, and displaying aggressive behavior." The claims were so far removed from reality that Keanu nearly laughed, but he maintained his composure. "There must be some mistake," he said firmly. "I helped a child pick up some apples in the produce section and paid for a woman's groceries here. That's the extent of my interactions." Marcus, the cashier, couldn't stay silent. "Officers, I was right here the whole time," he said, his voice earnest. Mr. Reeves was nothing but polite. He even helped pay for another customer's groceries. Cole snapped at him, her tone sharp. "Sir, we didn't ask for your input. Please step back." Marcus hesitated, his face showing concern, but he complied, stepping aside. By now, a crowd had gathered, their phones capturing every moment. The store's manager, Robert, a nervous man unaccustomed to handling situations involving police and celebrities, approached cautiously. "Officers," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "perhaps we could handle this more privately. We have an office." Cole cut him off abruptly. "This is a police matter. We'll handle it our way." The crowd's murmurs grew louder, some whispering about celebrity privilege, others skeptical, having witnessed Keanu's kindness firsthand. Matthews, his voice growing more authoritative, said, "Mr. Reeves, I'm going to need you to come with us for questioning." Keanu, still calm, asked, "Am I under arrest?" Cole replied with a smirk, "Not yet, but that could change depending on your cooperation." The implicit threat hung heavy in the air, placing Keanu in an impossible position. Comply and risk legitimizing false accusations, or resist and invite escalation. "I'm happy to cooperate," he said carefully, "but I'd like to understand what exactly I'm being accused of." Matthews rattled off a list as if reading from a script. Harassment, disturbing the peace, and suspicious behavior. Multiple witnesses, Mr. Reeves. This isn't going away. The energy in the crowd shifted, some swayed by the officer's narrative, others doubtful. Keanu, sensing the situation spiraling, said quietly, "I'd like to call my attorney." Matthews laughed, his tone dripping with disdain. "Oh, now you want a lawyer? Guilty conscience, Mr. Reeves." The accusation was designed to paint Keanu as guilty in the eyes of the onlookers, whose phones continued to record. Keanu, unshaken, responded, "I want a lawyer because I know my rights, and I know when those rights are being violated." The tension was palpable, the checkout area now a stage for a public spectacle, with Keanu at its center, facing what seemed like a coordinated attack on his character. Matthews stepped closer, his body language increasingly aggressive, clearly playing to the growing crowd. "Your attitude is becoming concerning, Mr. Reeves," he said loudly. "We have multiple witnesses who reported your inappropriate behavior, and now you're being uncooperative." Keanu, his voice steady, replied, "I've answered every question and offered to cooperate. I simply requested my right to legal representation." Cole scoffed, typical Hollywood response. "Think your money and lawyers can get you out of anything." Her words aimed to inflame public opinion, casting Keanu as an entitled celebrity. "Ma'am, with all due respect," Keanu said, his tone level despite the provocation. "Requesting an attorney is a constitutional right, not a privilege of wealth." Matthews moved within arm's reach, his face reddening. "You know what I think, Mr. Reeves? You've been in your Hollywood bubble so long you forgot how to treat regular people with respect." The irony was stark, given Keanu's reputation for treating everyone, from co-stars to crew members, with equal kindness. "That's quite an assumption," Keanu replied quietly, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to Matthew's aggression. Cole, flipping through her notebook, added, "We have a witness who says you grabbed a woman's arm without permission. Another says you made inappropriate comments to a female customer." The accusations were outright fabrications, and Keanu's eyes narrowed slightly, though his composure held. "Those allegations are completely false," he said, his voice carrying a hint of steel. "I'm confident any security footage will corroborate my version of events." Matthews and Cole exchanged a quick glance, a fleeting moment that Keanu and several onlookers noticed. "Security footage can be misleading," Matthews said dismissively. "Doesn't always tell the whole story." Robert, growing increasingly uneasy, interjected, "Officers, I can pull up our security footage right now if that would help clarify." Cole cut him off sharply. "That won't be necessary. We have eyewitness testimony, which is more reliable than video that can be taken out of context." The refusal to examine evidence was glaring, and the crowd began to murmur, their initial acceptance of the officer's narrative wavering. Keanu, his voice taking on a new clarity, addressed the officers. "You're refusing to look at security footage that would either support or refute your allegations. Why is that?" Matthews snapped. "Don't tell us how to do our job. You Hollywood types think you know better than trained law enforcement." Keanu remained unfazed. "I'm not telling you how to do your job. I'm asking why you're refusing to examine evidence that could resolve this quickly and fairly." The question hung in the air, exposing the officer's motives to the crowd. Marcus, finding his courage, spoke up again. "Officers, I was here for the entire interaction. Mr. Reeves didn't grab anyone or make inappropriate comments. He helped a kid with apples and paid for a lady's groceries. That's it." Cole turned on him with hostility. "Are you interfering with a police investigation?" Marcus paled but held his ground. "I'm just telling the truth," he said quietly. Matthews corrected. "Your version of the truth. We have multiple witnesses who say otherwise." A voice from the crowd broke through, an elderly man who had been watching intently. "If you have all these witnesses, where are they?" Other voices joined in, growing bolder. "Yeah, where are these witnesses? I've been here the whole time, and this is ridiculous. Show us the security footage." The crowd's mood shifted, their skepticism turning to defiance. Matthews, his face reddening further, shouted, "Everyone needs to step back. This is police business." But Keanu noticed something in Matthews' eyes. Beyond professional duty, there was a personal edge, suggesting this confrontation wasn't random. "Officer Matthews," Keanu said softly, "have we met before?" The question struck a nerve. Matthews' jaw tightened, his professional facade slipping. "We're done talking," he announced. "Mr. Reeves, you're coming with us for further questioning." Keanu, still calm, asked, "Am I under arrest?" Matthews, reaching for his handcuffs, replied, "You are now." The crowd gasped as the metal restraints gleamed. Phones capturing the moment when one of Hollywood's most beloved figures faced arrest based on fabricated claims. But this moment of apparent triumph for Matthews and Cole marked the beginning of their downfall. Keanu's demeanor shifted subtly, not outwardly, but internally. Years of meditation, philosophy, and grappling with personal loss crystallized into perfect clarity. "Officer Matthews," he said, his voice carrying a quiet authority that silenced the crowd. "Before you do something that can't be undone, consider what's happening here. You're about to arrest me based on allegations you refuse to verify, ignoring witness testimony. while being recorded by dozens of people who will share this footage with the world. Matthew's hand wavered, the handcuffs halfway to Keanu's wrists. Ask yourself, Keanu continued, is this about justice, public safety, or something else entirely? Cole tried to regain control. You're trying to intimidate a police officer. That's a serious offense. Keanu, ignoring her, kept his gaze on Matthews. I've spent my life playing heroes, but real heroes choose what's right when it's difficult. The words hit Matthews visibly, his face cycling through anger, confusion, and perhaps shame. You have a choice, Keanu said. Continue this path, or step back and examine what's really happening. The crowd, sensing something extraordinary, fell silent. Marcus spoke again. Officers, as a store employee, I insist we review the security footage before this goes further. Robert, finding his resolve, agreed. Marcus is right. We need to see the footage before anyone is arrested for something that didn't happen. Cole protested. This is police business, but her voice lacked conviction. The elderly man from the crowd stepped forward, his voice firm. This is about right and wrong, and what you're doing is wrong. Others joined in. Check the cameras. This is harassment. Matthews, losing control, looked shaken. Keanu took a step forward, his presence commanding. I think someone saw me here and decided to cause trouble. This has nothing to do with harassment and everything to do with a personal vendetta. Matthews paled, stammering. That's ridiculous. Keanu pressed. Then why won't you check the footage? Why no witnesses? Why arrest me without evidence? A radio crackle interrupted. Unit 47, status on the Reeves situation? The mention of Keanu's name stunned the crowd, implying a targeted operation. Matthews fumbled. We're handling it. The dispatcher added. Command wants an update. The call came from high up. The revelation hit hard. Someone powerful had orchestrated this. Keanu, voice calm, asked. Who made the complaint? Matthews, now ashen, couldn't answer. A phone rang loudly in the crowd. An older man answered, his voice carrying. Hello. Richard? I'm at the grocery store. What do you mean, is it working? You called the police? He hung up, horrified. That was my neighbor, Richard Blackstone. He asked if the plan was working, if Keanu Reeves was arrested. The crowd erupted. Blackstone, a real estate developer with a grudge against Keanu from a prior case involving Maria Santos, had engineered the false accusations for revenge. Keanu, processing the betrayal, spoke with clarity. So, Richard Blackstone called in false allegations to have me arrested for exposing his harassment of an elderly woman. The refusal to check evidence, the high-up orders, it was a coordinated attack. Officer Matthews, Keanu said, you tried to arrest me based on lies, refusing evidence, ignoring witnesses, all recorded. You had a choice to choose truth, justice, but you became someone's weapon. Cole, edging toward the exit, was stopped by Keanu's calm voice. Officer Cole, where are you going? Abandoning your partner, distancing yourself from the corruption you participated in. The crowd watched, mesmerized by Keanu's moral authority. This footage will be seen by millions, he said. Your names will be tied to corruption, and Blackstone's plot will destroy his credibility. Matthews, trembling, lowered the handcuffs. Mr. Reeves, I need to see the security footage, he said, his voice barely audible. Robert jumped at the chance. Let's go to the security office. Keanu held up a hand. No, review it here, in front of everyone. Robert set up a laptop on a customer service counter, pulling up footage from the produce section. It showed Keanu helping the mother and son, his kindness clear. The deli footage showed him waiting patiently, polite and unassuming. The checkout footage captured his generosity, paying for the woman's groceries, with Marcus praising him. That's harassment, someone in the crowd remarked sarcastically. Jennifer Walsh, an attorney live streaming to thousands, stepped forward. This is being watched worldwide. My team found Blackstone has used false complaints against others who opposed him, leveraging police connections. She listed his campaign contributions and personal ties to law enforcement. Matthews admitted Captain Rodriguez ordered the arrest despite no evidence, citing higher-level complaints. Cole added, this isn't the first time influential people's complaints were fast-tracked without proof. Matthews, tears in his eyes, said, I joined to protect and serve, not to be anyone's enforcer. Keanu, with compassion, replied, you were manipulated, but you had choices. What do you choose now? Matthews radioed dispatch, demanding an investigation into the corruption. Cole pledged support, citing evidence they could provide. Keanu addressed the crowd. You've seen power abused, but also challenged by ordinary people who speak up. Corruption thrives in silence. Your voice matters. He thanked Marcus, Robert, and the crowd for their courage. The footage went viral, exposing Blackstone's corruption, collapsing his empire, and leading to charges. Keanu, entering as a private citizen, left as a symbol of dignity, teaching that true power lies in choosing what's right.